To promote my new flower shop, I had one place print my business cards, another print my brochures, and a third, my signs. Now my roses aren't red, my violets aren't blue, my geraniums look dead, and I don't know what to do.
Staples can help your business stand out with signs, banners, and brochures that are a true reflection of your company. And now at Staples, spend $50 or more on print and marketing services and get $5 off your next in-store purchase.
Now my business is blossoming, and I'm spending less green.
Exclusions apply. In-store only. Ends 6/23/18.
Who's the number 2 receiver in Arizona? What's the correct running back choice in Green Bay? And who's the biggest rookie sleeper in the NFC South? Plus, the 2 greats for the game co-owners, Jay Reid and Scott Connor, are here to talk about Jamison Crowder's 2018 prospects, what they're doing to prepare for the FFPC Bare Knuckle Challenge in Las Vegas, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all you Bulkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is indeed the patron saint of fantasy football, Dave the Dizzle Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, why isn't Naheem Hines redraft stock rising? Where should you be drafting Kiki Kuti? And Jay Reid and Scott Connor from the 2 greats for the game franchise drop in to discuss their pros versus Joes prep, what it takes to make a high-stakes partnership successful, and much, much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have right inside there. You can also connect with us on Twitter at HSFFHour, at Eric Balkman, or at David Gerzak. Facebook.com/HSFFHour is where to reach us there, and 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA is the phone line if you want to hop on and give us a jingle tonight. highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com is the email address, email inbox that our producer, mutual friend Rob, and our audio engineer Bryce will be getting to all your questions later on in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. We'll do our best to get to as many as possible tonight. The Footballguys early bird promotion is about to enter its last week. A free $35 FFPC credit if you sign up before June 30th and draft a team before July 15th. That's going to expire next Saturday, so make sure you're getting in on that. If you are looking to book your room at Planet Hollywood for all the drafting festivities out there, like Jay Reid and Scott Connor will be, check it out at myffpc.com. We have discounted rooms at Planet Hollywood. And, of course, if you want to watch Week 1 in a sportsbook, restaurant, lounge, whatever you want on a Caesars property, you can do so for as little as $10. Greg Sidoris, our Casino Connections host, will hook you up with that. Before we get to Vegas, we have best ball drafts, classic drafts, starting at $35 on up. A ton of them going on this weekend, so hop in those. It's kind of, I know it's summer, so maybe you got something going on as far as, getting to the lake, doing something at the beach, whatever. Maybe not, because it's not a holiday weekend, no Father's Day stuff going on this weekend. It's a great weekend for drafting, so check it out at myffpc.com, and don't forget about those dynasty startups that are going on as well. Dave, you are back. I can't, honestly, I know you're at the FSTA conference this week. I can't even remember where you were last week. Oh, you're in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So how was the trips were good, the conference is successful, and now you're back?
Yeah, it was great.
Everything?
Yeah, everything was great. The conference was lovely. Washington, D.C. is a very nice city.
White House. We toured the White House. We
Yeah.
toured the state capitol, or the nation's capital.
Right.
That was great.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. We're glad to have you back in the saddle, and it won't be for long. Spoiler alert, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring in tonight's guests this evening. Let's get to him right now. Jay Reid has been playing fantasy football for more than 25 years, 9 of those at the high-stakes level and only in the FFPC since 2014. Scott Connor has been playing fantasy football since he turned 15 back in 1998 and is entering his second season playing high-stakes in the FFPC. As a seasoned dynasty player who participates in over 40 leagues, Scott partnered up with Jay prior to last season after a chance meeting in a dynasty league that Scott was actually commissioning. And you can find these guys trying to add to their 7 Football Guys and main event league titles this year under the franchise name Two Greats for the Game in the FFPC, the FFPC main event, the Pros vs. Joe's competition, and the Bare Knuckle Challenge live in Las Vegas at Planet Hollywood this year. Please welcome to the show Two Greats for the Game, Jay Reid and Scott Connor. Thanks for joining us tonight, fellas.
Hey, Eric. Thanks for having us.
It's exciting to have you guys on. I know that you have only partnered for, this is basically your second year. But, Jay, I recognize the Two Greats for the Game team name. And when Dave and I were talking about this, he paired up your name with Two Greats for the Game right away. So we are well-versed in your team names in the draft rooms and so forth. And I want to talk about fantasy football and get to that. Before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about you guys for a second. Jay, tell us what you do for a living. And then when Jay's done, Scott, go ahead and tell us what you do.
Well, I support the U.S. Army with the research and development of weapon systems, and our mission is to provide as much firepower to the warfighter so he can come home to his family.
And I am a personal injury negotiator for a large insurance company, so I spend most of my days interviewing people and also in heavy negotiations with plaintiff attorneys on large dollar injury settlements. So it's very parallel to trading in dynasty leagues, I would say.
I was just about to make that allegory there because I think that makes a lot of sense. When you're not negotiating in your day job, you're negotiating like, hey, what are you going to give me for Stephon Diggs? Stuff like that. It makes a lot of sense, and certainly you're sharpening your day job tools when you're playing fantasy and vice versa. Dave, I think you have a question.
So, Jay, in a recent Football Guys draft, you selected one of my buddies, Jerick McKinnon, at the 303. Unfortunately, I haven't kept him in many dynasty leagues since it took so long to break out. But tell us why you're convinced he has the talent and toughness to be a big-time back in San Fran this year after being just like a third down back for so long.
Well, I think Shanahan is going to use him out of the backfield as a receiver a lot. So in this offense, I believe McKinnon could reach 75 catches. And the 49ers signed him to what? I believe a 4-year, $30 million contract. I mean, that's a lot of money to invest in a running back. And Shanahan has coached a top 15 fantasy running back 5 of his last 6 seasons. So I think McKinnon is a real strong back, despite not being very big. But he plays big, and I think Shanahan will use him to take advantage of linebackers in his game plan.
McKinnon's an interesting guy because he was, you think about what he was in college at, Kent State or wherever he was playing. It was Georgia Southern, thank you. I don't know why I said Kent State.
Former quarterback.
Former quarterback there is where I was going with that. He kind of, you were excited about him. You probably drafted him in a bunch of dynasties, Dave.
Yeah, like all of them.
Yeah. And
I'm mad because I don't have him in any anymore.
But you can't be upset. I mean, Jerick McKinnon's been in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
And you think about where he was now, or where he was then, and then this roller coaster he's been on where he, dropped off a lot of teams, and now he's going in FFPC leagues. His ADP's pushed up to the end of the second round, Dave. So originally I thought McKinnon would have been an ascendant candidate at the end of the season. Not so anymore because he's already ascended. And FFPC guys are pushing him further and further up. Went at the 104. I don't know if you saw Darren Armani's tweet from a few days ago. Went at the 104 in an FFPC best ball draft.
Shut up.
I am not kidding. Dead serious.
A redraft?
In a redraft, yes. 104 is where McKinnon.
Damn, that's crazy.
When you have guys like Jay Reid, touting him on a low-rated podcast like this, his ADP is only going to be going further and further up, Dave.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah, that much is clear. Scott, a lot of owners last year, myself included, were burned by Jamison Crowder until the end of the 2017 season. How likely is it that Crowder finishes significantly ahead of the wide receiver 38 spot where he is currently being selected in FFPC best ball leagues?
Well, I think Crowder is one of those guys that he was a part of that Redskins team last year that pretty much just had everything go wrong that you could think of. I mean, they had an offensive line that was shot all year. It seemed like every time you watch him play that Cousins never had any time to throw. So I'm thinking that he's somebody that I like to get not as probably one of my top 2 receivers, but somebody I'm definitely comfortable plugging in there as a flex. And I just think that he's somebody that you can get a pretty predictable floor from week to week, but he's also got a pretty sneaky profile where he can actually give you some big plays. And so I kind of like him as a hedge flex, third receiver that's pretty safe week to week, but I do think he has some boom potential on a week-to-week basis as well. So it's just one of those guys that I'm pretty sure at the end of the year he's going to finish probably, I'd say, 10 to 15 spots ahead of where he's being drafted. So if he's falling into that range where I think we took him in one of our first Football Guys drafts this season, and I think if he's falling in that range, I think Jay's on board that we're going to try to get him as often as possible.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind, too, and Jay, I'll let you comment on this, the quarterback for Washington this year played in Kansas City last year, and he actually threw the ball downfield quite a bit. However, Alex Smith has been known for his intermediate accuracy, and that's something that Jamison Crowder will no doubt benefit from.
No, I agree. Crowder's building a great chemistry with Alex Smith, and, he's not typically a long ball passer. He had Tyreek Hill, to throw to, so that opened him up a little bit. But he checks down a lot, so I think Crowder's going to benefit from those receptions.
So let's talk about how often you guys argue. I'd like to hear about this more. So Scott, I'm going to ask you this question. When you have some disagreements in draft, lineup, blind bidding, whatever disagreements you may have, how do you guys resolve that usually?
Well, we definitely get on the phone and we give each other a little time to, kind of pitch on why we're thinking a certain thing or why we're, looking at a certain player. And then we start just looking at the draft board. And, one of the biggest keys in doing these drafts, especially when you're doing slow drafts earlier in the season like we're in the midst of right now, is really looking at the board and trying our best to predict where we think the other teams are going to go based on what they've already taken and what the draft board's looking like. So I would say most of the time we're on the same page with a lot of picks. We tend to like a lot of the same players, and the ones that we don't, we clearly know which ones the other one doesn't like and vice versa. But I would say that's the biggest thing is trying to forecast where we think the draft's going to go. And then it's usually pretty easy to make a decision based on, where the value is on the board. And how to leverage, what we think the other people are going to do.
Scott Connor and Jay Reid, the franchise owners of the Two Greats for the Game franchise that you can watch Drafting Pros versus Joes this year. They'll also be participating in the Bare Knuckle Challenge, the main event, a bunch of other leagues this year. They are with us on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour tonight, Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. Now, speaking of the Pros versus Joes competition, Jay, I don't believe that you and Scott have ever drafted in it before, but you had actually published an article on early round team construction for this contest a few years back for gridironexperts.com. So as far as this year goes, how are you and Scott going to use that prior knowledge to your advantage and try to win your league?
This will be our first Pros versus Joes contest, and we were excited when we heard we were representing the Joes this year, and hopefully we represent the Joes well. But I wrote that article back in 2013, and the strategy I outlined holds true for how Scott and I draft today. We both agree that running backs are going to dry up early, and I explained that in the article. And they're going to go quickly, especially in best ball formats. So we like to draft at least 3 running backs within our first 5 picks, and then find talented receivers in the later rounds. Now, we don't use that strategy for every draft, but we do more often than not.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what you've done so far. This 250 VP league that you're in, that you were at the 10 spot. Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Tevin Coleman, Aaron Jones, all within the first 8 rounds for you guys. But it's not like you're ignoring the receiver position. You've been doing very well at that position as well in that draft, Jay.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an example, sort of how we draft, together. We agree, on those running backs early. We went a little overboard in this one, but we got some great running backs. But we also manage at wide receiver. They had Josh Gordon and Larry Fitzgerald, Jamison Crowder, who we just discussed, Nelson Aguilar, and Jordy Nelson. So through the 10 rounds, we have a lot of options at the starting positions and multiple combinations at the flex positions. So this is an example, probably, without giving away the form, this is how we probably will approach the pros versus Joe's contest.
Scott, you've done some scouting. You're perennially doing scouting every single week, essentially, on the pros competition. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Well, I think that one of the things that really stood out to me so far with drafts so far this summer is just how deep the wide receiver position is. And if you don't choose to take receivers early, which we obviously did in that draft, there's receivers that you can get 16th, 17th, 18th rounds that, in the right situation, I think could be very reliable week-to-week plays. And anyone that's done some drafts knows that the running backs come off the board so much quicker. So we've kind of prioritized taking running backs early and making sure we have depth there. Also, as it's one of the most injury-prone positions. And so I think that's probably going to be similar strategy that we take in a lot of our drafts, is to make sure we're not chasing running backs, because I do think it's easier to find receivers a little bit later in the draft. And secondly, with the running backs, there's some real intriguing names that come very late in the drafts, especially ones that you're doing earlier in the summer before training camp. There's some names that you can get and kind of hold on to, and then knowing that, if they don't end up winning the job, or if there isn't an injury in front of them, they're one of the first drop candidates. But I'd much rather take those last couple picks and stash those running backs. Maybe we'll talk about them a little later. But that's kind of been our strategy, and that's kind of how we're going to approach the pros versus Joes.
All right, so let's talk about another running back. And actually, I have a little bit of inside info from this.
Wow.
Well, not inside info, but I have other respected, person info of someone who's interested in this running back. I'll tell you about it after the question. Anyway, as far as the Packers backfield goes, Jay, Ty Montgomery, is he a person we should be paying attention to for fantasy purposes, or has it passed him by at this point?
Well, Ty Montgomery is a guy that Scott and I do not agree on, but I do believe Montgomery's the guy. But Scott feels it's Aaron Jones. I mean, every time we discuss, who do we draft in the Packer backfield, we disagree. But I think the Packers will find a way to take advantage of his receiving skills, line him up in multiple formations. And in a PPR league, I think he has the advantage over Jones and Williams, and will outscore both of them in fantasy points, my opinion. But that's provided he stays healthy. But I'm sure Scott has another take on it.
Scott, what do you think? Give us your take.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Ty Montgomery. However, if we're drafting this early in the season, I am less likely to choose somebody like Montgomery versus picking between Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. I'm clearly on the Aaron Jones side of that argument, and the reasoning behind that is just, the metrics that Jones came out of college with. He was a hugely productive player at UTEP when he played. Very, very high athletic metrics. And so choosing between Williams and Jones is easy for me. But when it comes to Montgomery, I just think the Packers are going to use him more as strictly a satellite back. I think last year you saw that he cannot take the down after down pounding. He has that sickle cell trait, and he's always been very injury prone. So I just don't ever see him elevating to a role where, he's getting more than, say, 12 to 15 touches a week. And so he's someone decent to take as maybe a fourth or fifth running back just to throw in there to get some points. But if I'm going to pick a running back there, and it seems like Jones, Williams, and Montgomery all go in the same area of the draft, I'd much rather gamble on Aaron Jones and hope that he hits that potential.
Yeah,
and that's why you'll
FFPC
see
drafts right now. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. I was just going to add that's why you're seeing some of our drafts in the 9th and 10th round. We'll see Montgomery as a choice that we've selected, and the one we're doing right now in the Victory Point 250, we selected Aaron Jones.
FFPC drafts right now, Aaron Jones at the 807, Jamal Williams 905, Ty Montgomery at the 1101. So they are all still going in that same area. Can you talk about this inside info?
Yeah, it's not inside info. It's just other than I was with Alex. We were at a steakhouse, and he out of nowhere brought up Ty Montgomery.
Alex did?
Yeah, as a player he liked, because he really thought that the team was going to throw to him a lot, get him a lot of touches as that third down satellite type back, and that's really he thought the value's there. He thinks he's going to catch 75 balls, and so he's a pretty big Ty Montgomery fan. And I mean, Alex isn't listening to the show, so who cares if I
and I'll say this. Here's what we learned in the last 3 minutes of this question. Aaron Jones, Scott Connor likes. FFPC drafters are drafting him first out of the Packers running backs. Ty Montgomery, Alex Kaganowski, and Jay Reid both like. Nobody likes Jamal Williams, apparently. Nobody. He's being drafted in the middle, but
Montgomery's going last, right?
Montgomery is going last, yeah. So the value is there for sure. Scott, you guys are going to be teaming up for the Bare Knuckle Challenge in Planet Hollywood this September. For anybody who's not familiar with the Bare Knuckle Challenge, it is a 12-team best ball league and 28 rounds. You cannot use your phone, laptop, tablet, paper, nothing. No help. It's all got to be formulated in your mind. This is one of the toughest competitions out there. You guys are going to be in it.
Also, if you want to come in, if you want to play, you can register for the 2019 draft because it's sold out.
Yeah, the 2018 Bare Knuckle is filled up, but we're apparently taking signups on the 2019 Bare Knuckle. I was not aware of this.
Email Chris.
Chris at myffpc.com. But Scott, your strategy that you and Jay will be taking for such a unique competition. What are you guys doing for preparation for it?
Well, I think Jay will agree that he is tasking me with doing the second half of the draft. We plan on switching sometime in the middle, and so my focus over the summer is going to be I plan to memorize all bye weeks and memorize pretty much every skill player on every depth chart. And have an idea of the players that I'm going to be targeting. But at the same time, I do not know exactly how, the board's going to fall with the first 12 to 14 rounds. And so I'll kind of have to maybe tweak a little bit based on who Jay takes in a best ball league. We definitely want to make sure that we don't have, too many players on the same team or in the same offense. So I'm pretty much just going to focus on, memorizing as many players and roles and stuff as I can, and then have to adapt on the fly. I'll let Jay talk about the first half.
Yeah, I've asked Scott to do all the memorying because I don't have time. I'm busy building weapon systems. But, Scott's right. I'm going to take the first 14 rounds. I'm going to take the first 14 rounds and, build a core team. And, Scott's going to have the task of finishing it up in the last 14 rounds. I think we get a 5-minute break after round 14. But if I get worn out after the first 12, I think I might get up and switch and give it to him. But, we're excited about this draft. It's the first time we're going to be in it. I feel we'll do well. I mean, Scott is a dynasty expert, as you said earlier, Eric. He plays in 40 dynasty leagues. He goes into deeper leagues than I do. So he finds those gems, those players with a lot of upside. So I think we'll do well. But look, they've got a lot of good teams, a lot of experienced teams in this bare knuckle, and I think it's going to be a really good time and a good draft.
One of the things I always thought to myself that I would use is, it's funny because it's called the Bare Knuckles League, is I would use like my 4 fingers on my left hand, my 4 fingers on my right hand, and count each one as like a division to try and memorize the 4 teams and like get that down. I don't know if that's, and it's probably really stupid, but at least it's giving you something to just look at. Okay, I have the Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings on this finger, and who are all the quarterbacks? Are those guys all gone, or are the running backs all gone?
Is that can you write the names of the divisions on your fingers?
No, there's no writing down.
No, but I mean, like before the draft, could you write the names of the divisions, or is that not allowed?
I don't think it would be permitted.
I don't. It's a pretty tight ship there. Although, I say how strict it is, but I got to tell you, of all the drafts that we had in Vegas last year, wouldn't you agree that the most lively was the bare knuckle challenge after the opening game on Thursday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Guys are running laps around the board. There's whooping and hollering. There's a good amount of alcohol involved over in that section. And I know.
And all the big payback people are like, did you guys keep it
Well,
down?
no, they didn't. No, first of all, they didn't. Nobody said that. I was
the pretentious big payback.
I was facilitating the big payback at the same time, and nobody said that. We were looking over there like,
why are they having all the fun? We paid $5,000.
You know what was so funny? I was like, holy cow, Kareem Hunt. He might have gone. He was like the 102 or the 103, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the story of the night. No, clearly it wasn't. The story of the night was whatever the hell was going on over at the bare knuckle challenge table, because it was crazy. There's a huge crowd there. It was insane. Anyway, Dave. Let's move on here. We'll have plenty more bare knuckle talk later.
Guys, any further comments on our terrible comments just now?
No, I can't wait to be a part of it, though. Sounds like it's going to be a pretty raucous atmosphere, so I'm excited to get out to Vegas.
Yeah.
Eric.
Everybody gets moved up.
Go ahead.
Eric, don't we have to have a full body check before we go into the draft room? To check for cheat sheets and things of that nature. It's pretty interesting.
You'll get wanded.
Yeah, I'm going to say Alex is in charge of all the. There's going to be metal detectors you have to go through, and it's going to be the whole 9 yards. Just don't even smile at them. Just stand there. Otherwise, there will be a body cavity search if you at all irritate them. So just smile and move on.
I need to always leave. I usually get yelled at during these things. Whoever I'm talking with, we're just too loud.
Yeah, I've gotten yelled at before. At the bare knuckle challenge.
Cruiser, shut up.
Yeah.
Anyway, question. If you were forced to put one of these guys, that's a great question. If you were forced to put one of these guys in your roster during the draft this season, Scott, who would it be? Kelvin Benjamin or Sterling Shepard?
Well, this is a very easy question for me. One thing I do with all my dynasty teams is I track how many times I own a specific player, and I will say that there is not a single, nothing but a zero next to the name Kelvin Benjamin. So it's an easy answer. It's Sterling Shepard. I've liked Sterling Shepard since he came out of Oklahoma, and it's an easy choice. The only question I have with Shepard is that, you do have to wonder, where exactly his targets are going to come from. But I do think there's a lot to go around with the Giants offense. I think they'll have a big bounce back this year. So for me, it's quite easily Sterling Shepard.
I'm sorry, did you want to say something, Dave?
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I look at my dynasty teams and look at who I don't have. And, Florida State players like Kelvin Benjamin or other quarterbacks that, steal crab legs and so on.
Oh, hold on.
Get groping allegations.
Hold on.
Things like that.
Didn't you just trade for Dalvin Cook?
Huh? I'm drafted Dalvin Cook. I want him in a few spots.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
don't just lump
I'm
these ne'er-do-wells in the Florida State.
He's a good one.
He's the good one. I got it.
And I think you can't ignore the quarterback situation for the Bills either. I mean, now they're talking about starting Nathan Peterman, and so I just don't. It's just a situation that, unfortunately, for 2018, I'm pretty much avoiding any Buffalo receiver.
You and me both, my friend. I am with you on that bandwagon. Let's get to some listener emails. I will pitch this first one to Jay. This is from Charlie in Epsom, New Hampshire. Dear Two Greats for the Game. How did you guys end up as co-managers at the high-stakes level? Thank you for the email, Charlie in Epsom, New Hampshire. We kind of talked about a little bit in the intro that it was part of a dynasty league, Jay, but tell us the story of how you guys got hooked up to be co-managers in the FFPC.
Yeah, I had a neighbor, and he was in a dynasty league, and it was a dynasty league where, you can't make up your own name for a team. You had to pick an NFL team, and it's not my niche, it's not my forte. But he kept saying, he said, "Hey, listen, the Green Bay Packers is available," and so I said, why not? So I took the team, and through the chat and everything. Scott and I started chatting, and I was looking for a serious partner, to draft in Las Vegas and also online. And, and I asked Scott, I said, what do you think about joining me on the FFPC? And I told him all about it. And of course, the last thing I told him was how much we had to put up, for the entrance league fees. And when I told him the fees, for the FFPC, the football guys, and the main event, he answered, he gave the right answer. He says, well, how much can we win? And I said, that's it. I said, this is the guy. He wasn't scared away. I said, this is the guy who, he wants to take the next step. He wants to transition. And we started talking, and last year he joined me, and we had a great year. And we brought home 3 championships, 2 in the Footballguys contest, and one. And we were in only 2 main event leagues. And we won the championship in one of them, and we came in 3rd place in the other one. So, we're looking for bigger and better things this year.
Yeah, definitely. Using a big 2017 season to springboard into hopefully even bigger things in 2018. Scott, I'll let you handle this other email we got for you tonight. This is from Joel in New Braunfels, Texas. He writes, what Browns running back do you like best this season? Best of luck in pros versus Joes. That is Joel in New Braunfels, Texas. When's the last time you've been to New Braunfels, Texas, Dave?
I haven't been.
What I've heard.
I'm familiar with it.
What I've heard, great barbecue down there. That's
in Texas.
In Texas. I don't know about New Braunfels. Scott, Nick Chubb, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde, all in the Browns' backfield this year. Which one do you like best?
Oh, this is just as tough as the Green Bay question. I don't have such a polarizing take on it, but I started in Dynasty, and so my inclination is to go with either Nick Chubb or Duke Johnson, and it's kind of like the Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery argument. I think Duke Johnson is somebody that they will have a role for, but I am a little discouraged on some of the comments that have come out about his usage. I think Jarvis Landry is going to hurt his PPR upside, and I was a little perplexed when they signed him to that contract extension a couple weeks ago. But if I had to pick one, I'm somebody that's usually looking for the upside, and so I would probably take Nick Chubb if there's the value there in a draft, and just hope that, the second half of the season, his talent takes over, and hopefully the Browns are still in contention, or they're in a point where they want to see what they have with Nick Chubb. So my answer would be Nick Chubb.
Contention. Their over-under is 5.5.
Yeah, they'll be fine. We'll get up there. I am not making this up, guys. I literally just looked up the ADP. This is from drafts in early June up until yesterday, I believe. The ADPs of the Browns running backs, Duke Johnson leads the way at the 802.
All right.
Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb, 803.
Both the same?
Both the same. One pick after Duke Johnson. That's pretty insane. So you pretty much could only get one. I mean, maybe you could get 2, but it's going to be tough.
If you have that 7-12, 8-1 turn, you could
make that happen. Yeah. So that's interesting. They're all bunched up. I expect some more variability as we get closer to the start of the season.
I would hope so.
I guess it can't get any closer, right?
Right. Yeah. There was a Roto World blurb on that, wasn't there?
On what? On the Browns?
I thought it was.
Talking about how Carlos Hyde is going to be the lead guy to start the year. They
some sort of
that
hot hand crap.
Oh, yeah, there was that. Yeah, they were going to go with the hot hand.
Freddie Kitchens said this is the running back coach for the Browns.
Right.
So the team will ride the hot hand in the backfield this season.
Yeah.
That to me actually, that actually speaks. That's good for Nick Chubb, right? Because when you say hot hand, you're like, well, I mean, we're going to play the guy who we drafted really early. That's good.
Right.
So I think that's good for Chubb.
Makes sense. Do you have we've been taking up so much of Jay and Scott's time. Can we get one more question here, Dave?
Oh, actually, I feel bad. We should keep him on longer.
Oh, yeah. Make it a 3-hour show. Make them spill all the pros versus Joes and bare knuckles.
All right, so Jay is going first here. This is always our stuff where we steal all the information and use it for ourselves for Kentucky. So who's the guy you'll be staying away from in the first couple of rounds this year? And who's a player that you think will be flying under the radar in 2018? So Jay goes first. Scott goes second. No duplications, please. It's like the $25,000 pyramid here.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking.
There will be a Family Feud style. We're gonna go if you
exactly.
an answer.
You should have that.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
So Dave, you're giving me the advantage to go first, right?
That's why you only get 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Or is it 20 nowadays?
I think what it is Jay gets 15 seconds, and then Scott gets 20 because they'll probably duplicate at least one of the answers. So
turkey.
Chicken.
All right. Well, let's see. Well, I'm staying away from T.Y. Hilton. I think he's currently being drafted in the middle of the 3rd round. I don't think he's a bad receiver, but I'm really worried about Andrew Luck getting him the ball. I mean, Luck has not played in a long time, and I'm not quite sure if he's totally healthy. You know, I mean, Hilton might have upside if Luck returns to his old self, but he's too risky for me, especially in the early rounds. I guess, you know, a guy, he's not really under the radar, but, you know, a guy that is falling under the radar and also moving down the draft board, I think, is Jordy Nelson. I mean, you can draft Jordy in the 10th or 11th round as your wide receiver 4 or 5, and I think that's insane. You know, I mean, once Jordy was signed, the Raiders released Crabtree and Patterson, and so that should tell you something about their confidence in Nelson. And Aaron Rodgers was upset that the Packers traded Nelson. So, you know, you must have believed Jordy had something left in the tank. You know, so I don't think he's getting the respect he deserves.
I agree with that, actually. In fact, like I said a few weeks ago, I made a trade where I traded the 204 or the 202 for the 204 and Jordy Nelson in a dynasty league. So it's like ridiculous how cheap he is in dynasty.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead, Scott.
Well, first, speaking of Family Feud, I want to give you both Dave and Balky props for being a little bit better host than Steve Harvey. But I wanted to definitely point out that I think Jarvis Landry's
we wouldn't screw up an Academy
Jarvis
Award.
Landry. Jarvis Landry's somebody I'm avoiding.
Avoid Landry. Yeah.
I think that it's not necessarily anything about his talent. You know, you can look at the contract he signed with the Browns and say he's, you know, a pretty safe player to draft, but I just don't see the opportunity coming his way like it has been. He's made his hay on getting a lot of receptions the last 4 years, and combined with Tyrod Taylor is not somebody that has heavily targeted the slot in the past. And also, Tyrod is usually on the lower end of pass attempts. And so there's a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland. So I just think the mass stats for Jarvis Landry are bound to go down. And I think I'm not the first one to say that there's a lot of regression coming for Landry. So that's somebody that I'm not going to own. In terms of somebody that's flying under the radar, I love Albert Wilson with Miami. I think that's a guy you can get. I've seen him go at the very last couple rounds of the draft, 17th, 18th, 19th round. And that's somebody that is actually replacing the Jarvis Landry role in Miami, and I think he has very high upside. He can both play on the outside and play in the slot, and I think it's somebody that could come into a lot more targets than people are really projecting for him. I think he could probably get upwards of 90 to 100 targets and also get some work out of the backfield. So I think Wilson's a very good value, and I'm kind of hedging that he's going to take most of the opportunity away from Danny Amendola. I think that's why people are avoiding Wilson for where he should really be drafted.
Yeah, they paid Wilson too this year. It's something to keep in mind. And for sure when he is.
Where's Wilson going again?
Albert Wilson. I can look him up.
I thought Amendola was like 18th when we were talking.
Hold on. Albert Wilson.
I always expect this data from you. Like,
I'll give it. Just give me 2 seconds to look at it.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry I expected so soon. And I get pissed at me.
Well, because I thought you were.
What the hell is your problem?
Because I thought you were about to yell at me.
Guys are gonna get pissed at you.
Albert Wilson, the 21-11 right now in drafts, and Danny Amendola going at the 18-11. So about 3 rounds.
Eric, thank you.
Hey, Dave, you're welcome. Jay and Scott. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys, for coming on the show tonight. And I know you want to protect some of those secrets for the Bare Knuckle Challenge, for the Pros versus Joes. We will obviously be following the Pros versus Joes drafting. You guys are drafting in that. Feel free to give us a call during the show. We'd love to have you back on, and maybe you can make a pick on the air and talk a little bit about how the draft was going. But if not, no hard feelings, and we will see you in Vegas. We wish you best of luck in the main event, all your Football Guys leagues as well. And thanks so much for coming on tonight, guys.
Yeah, listen, before we finish up, I just want to let Dave know the customer service and support that the FFPC gives all the players is just outstanding. And I want to throw a shout-out to Chris Lambert. Just the other day, I needed to switch a team to a different date, and she responded in less than 5 minutes. And what's important about that, it was on Father's Day, and she was having dinner with her father, but she still took time, to answer my question and do that, and really that was over the top. So I just, want to give a shout out to Chris and the great support that the FFPC gives to all the players.
Well, thanks. We appreciate that. Chris is amazing. You know, the thing that sucks, though, to be honest with you.
There's only one of her?
No, what sucks is when, like, I get an email. If you email Chris and me at the same time, I always take second. Like, she always gets it done. I'm like, oh, yeah, it looks like it was Chris already. Cool, good luck. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she's the best, for sure. We will definitely pass that on to her. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate the kind words, and we'll talk to you in Vegas.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
See
guys.
you there.
Thanks. We're going to make a lot of noise, though, when you're on the clock.
Jay Reid and Scott Connor, ladies and gentlemen, two greats for the game. And
these guys.
They will, yeah, exactly. They will. You know, I was saying this before, like, everybody always gets all lubed up during that viewing party. That
right, of course.
The fourth quarter gets a little out of control.
It's a 3-hour and 30-minute game, because they always have, like, the half-hour halftime, too, you know.
For whatever reason, on Thursdays, it's not like I'm super busy. I mean, I am busy out there, but I typically don't eat a whole lot that Thursday. And
plus, you're kind of coming off the whole draft season. You're all burnt out, and
yeah.
You just flew the day before.
Right. No, 2 days before, and I usually facilitate a couple of drafts before that, and then I usually change into character, and or I retire to my room, and Don Erickson comes down. And the thing is, Tupac or Ron Meyer, Corn Fins, the Real Leroy, Kurt, I usually hang out with them, and they always have at least 2 drinks like waiting for me to like, you know. So then I have a couple of those, and then the fourth quarter last year, I just remember being so out of control because of what Kareem Hunt was doing, and people were just losing their bowels over what they were seeing. So
you're on like 900 calories, and you're probably low carbing like an idiot.
But that's not just. I mean, like I know for me it got a little nuts, but it gets even more nuts for everybody else. It's a great atmosphere, and that definitely seeps into the bare knuckle. And it's not even like those guys run out of steam. 28th round, they're still whooping and hollering around, and then undoubtedly went out and partied in Vegas later.
Yeah, I'm asleep by then.
Let's get to tonight's rundown. I want to thank Rob, Football Guys, and Roto World for it. And now I don't have it. No, it's right here. I got it. Crisis averted. Chris Carson has been, quote, the most impressive of any running back in this team's offseason practices this summer. General Manager John Schneider has said at times Carson actually looks like the best player on the field. This is according to a report from Brady Henderson of ESPN. Chris Carson has been getting a lot of hype, but let's face it, what Seahawk doesn't get hype in the offseason as long as Pete Carroll's been the coach there. Rashad Penny was the first-round pick there, Dave. The biggest question for him, can he pass protect? We know he can run. He can catch a little bit, but can he pass protect? If he can't, does Chris Carson make sense for a late-round pick, or do you think he's just a wasted pick in an FFPC draft?
I don't think he's a wasted pick at all. I think he's definitely worth taking. Even if you don't take Penny, I think he's worth the flyer.
Chris Carson going in the 14th round of FFPC drafts right now.
And that's not, by the way, that's not super cheap. I mean, it's not really
14th round, dude. I mean,
it's not really expensive. It's not like an 18th round flyer. You know, it's like you're still spending some draft capital there in the 14th.
Let me give you the name of 4 running backs that are going right around, and you tell me if you'd rather have any of these guys than Chris Carson: Bilal Powell, Doug Martin, LeGarrette Blount, or Matt Breida.
Yeah.
Breida's interesting to me. I'm still worried about McKinnon's durability.
I don't know. Probably none of those guys are really all that great.
So Carson, you'd like over all of them?
Yeah, I mean Breida's all right. I get it.
All right. Chad Williams, J.J. Nelson, Bryce Butler, Greg Little. I can't believe he's still.
Welcome back.
And Christian Kirk could all be candidates for the number 2 wide receiver job during training camp.
That's a terrible statement.
Darren Urban's. Darren Urban from azcardinals.com reported this. But then Chad Williams is actually listed. I saw this on Roto World today. He was actually listed as a starter opposite Larry Fitzgerald with J.J. Nelson. Chad Williams, your boy.
I heard.
Your dynasty boy from last year. It's certainly a group with a lot of upside, but a tremendous amount of downside here as well with these guys. J.J. Nelson's the burner. Bryce Butler is he put up the numbers in Dallas. He just couldn't get on the field consistently. Chad Williams is a guy. Where was he playing before Grambling? Was he at LSU? He was at a big school before he transferred.
That I don't recall.
Okay. Well, I'd have to look that up. Maybe Rob can get on that. And then Christian Kirk was, of course, their second-round pick this past year. So they all have their pros. They all have their cons. the question, Dave, is this a job to pay attention to for like a best ball format for a Football Guys league? Can there be fantasy value squeezed out of that number 2 receiver in Arizona, catching passes from either Bradford, Rosen, or potentially both?
No, Jemima makes a good point. He brings up Ricky Seals-Jones being the number 2 target on the team, and that whoever this is, it might be the number 3 target. That's possible. And then you still have David Johnson to deal with. I think, Chad Williams, I mean, he did really, truly disappoint. He had played very little. What do you have, 90 snaps or something like that?
Yeah, I don't even think he hit 90.
Yeah, it was like very little. I would lean towards Kirk, but Kirk's probably by far the highest priced player as far as being drafted. So, but I would still probably lean towards Kirk taking over Chad Williams. I mean, if Chad was going to keep the number 2 role, I think he should have shown more last year, and he didn't do that. So I just don't trust him. I don't trust him this year, even though I was kind of on him last year because he was picking in the 3rd round. So I'm like, he's a decent flyer. No one was taking him in Dynasty, so I can get him in all these 4th-round picks of Dynasty drafts. But those picks don't always work out.
Chad Williams, I can confirm, went to high school at Baton Rouge Madison Prep. I'm not seeing. He was arrested on LSU's campus. I don't know if he actually went to school there. He might have been some sort of vagrant, just hanging out with his good time buddies there.
Maybe he was trying to just sit in on pit classes because he wanted to just learn. He wanted to be educated.
Yeah, that's a possibility too. I'm not really sure.
Understanding the arts.
It's all speculation at this point, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a Van Gogh.
And listen, Chad Williams is pontificating on Van Gogh pieces of art.
I like Monet over Manet. I mean, impressionism.
Tip Day.
Yeah. I mean, Hopper's Nighthawks is solid, but I mean, that's it. I don't really like anything else in the Art Institute of Chicago.
Is that who did the Nighthawks? Hopper?
Yeah, they're Hopper.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a very famous one. I actually know that one.
Yeah, it's a nice.
Zach Kiefer from the Indianapolis Star reports Nyheim Hines has been lining up in the backfield, in the slot, and out wide. He's been one of the most active players in the offense through both spring and summer practices, and it seems clear that Frank Reich and Nick Sirianni have big plans for him in that Colts offense.
And guess who owns him in Carrington, baby?
5'8", 198 pounds. Congratulations on your Hines. I have a story about that in a second. He's not really proven as a receiver, but he could be a good change of pace back. And Dave, I got to be honest with you. Every time I tweet about Nyheim Hines or go on Twitter or read anything about him, every analyst is on him saying you got to draft him. Matt Schauf from Draft Sharks is on him. Rich Rebar from Roto World is definitely on him.
He sucks.
He's going at the 1109 in redraft leagues right now. 1109 in the FFPC.
You know what? All right. First of all,
I'm leading you into to try to tear him down because the sugary goodness on Nyheim Hines has reached epic levels, and I want you to kind of put people in their place here. If you can do
I can. So
okay.
It says here he's a compact runner with the quickness and agility to create his own space. Okay, his agility.
Okay.
Was a 4.35 20-yard shuttle time. That sucks.
No bueno.
His 3-cone drill was a 7.18. That gives him an agility score of 11.53. I mean, that's like Marshawn Lynch does, stuff like that. I mean,
no bueno tambien.
I mean, when they talk about quickness, and by the way, let me just rip on something else, because on Football Guys, they were talking about Dylan Cantrell.
Yep.
And saying he lacked the short area quickness. I'm like, dude, he ran a 6.56 3-cone. Did any of you idiots actually look at that?
Well, they're not idiots. But...
Well, whoever wrote that was an idiot. Anyway, but I mean, short area quickness, Nyheim Hines doesn't have it. He has straight on speed. That's
right.
What he has.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not agility, really. We'll see what he does. I'm not quite as high on all these other guys, or as high as these other guys are around. I mean, I like them, but, come on.
Lance Jervis, the sports betting man. Hines equals return specialist. Book it. That's what he said in the chat room.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see in training camp. They'll be like, oh, Hines is catching punts and kick returns.
By the way,
then the question is it Wilkins or is it Marlon Mack or what? I think they're going to use all three of those guys probably.
Okay. I would lean towards Marlon Mack being more attractive for fantasy than Jordan Wilkins, but whatever.
I would agree with that, but I mean, I'm not really sure any of them's going to be a top 15 type back. I mean, I don't think so.
When Andrew Luck can only throw it so far, who do you think he's going to be throwing it to? They got Eric Ebron for a reason. They have Jack Doyle for a reason. These guys can all catch. All he basically has, it was my favorite pass to throw in high school. We had this, it was like a read play where I would get to the when I played quarterback, my illustrious 2-year career as quarterback.
Nice.
I would get to the line, I'd look at my 2 wideouts, and we had these signals for whether they're going to run a hitch, a fade, a slant, an out, whatever. And the one receiver got to know that, like, if he said slant, I was going to throw it to him every time, because all I had to do it was a quick slant. So all I literally had to do was take the snap, take a quick half step back, and then gun it to him. You know what I mean? Right. And I love throwing that, man, because it's like,
did you have to do anything really?
No, nothing. And so, like, I wouldn't even bother looking at him. After 2 months into the season, I wouldn't even look at him because I know what he was going to call. And honestly, he got the ball probably 80% of the time when we ran that play.
I can't believe people don't anyway.
Well, we weren't successful.
By the way, Hines...
I did not start on the team. I'm talking about practice.
What Hines should do is he should see what route Ebron's running and then run 4 yards behind him, and then when the ball goes off Ebron's hands, he can catch it.
That is probably something that should be written into the playbook.
You're welcome.
Chris Hogan's going to be asked to shoulder a bigger load in the offense in New England in 2018, according to a report from Jeff Howe at The Athletic. Hogan could be a pretty big play for the first month of the season, September, early October, while Julian Edelman is out with his 4-game suspension. But you look at what Hogan means to this offense after that, Dave. He's probably going to be pretty integral still. You look at where he's going right now in FFPC drafts, and
some of these guys are talking about him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he got a little crazy for a while. He's going at the 802 right now, the 802 for Chris Hogan. Talk a little bit about where you would be looking at drafting Chris Hogan in a draft this year. Does the 8th round sound good to you, or is that a little high for the likings of the Dizzle?
So who's going right around that spot?
I can tell you exactly who's going.
Give me a little bit of
some receivers.
Sure.
How about the 709, Julian Edelman? Which one would you rather have? This is an interesting question.
It actually is an interesting question. I'll probably take Hogan, actually. He's not coming off an injury either.
Sammy Watkins is going at the 704.
Yeah, I think I would take Watkins, actually. I'm pretty high on Watkins, to be honest. I'm a little bit...
Let me do this.
I'm a tad bit... go ahead.
Let me do this. I got 6 receivers that are also going in the 8th round along with Hogan.
All right, go ahead.
Okay? We'll play a mini Would You Rather with these guys. Chris Hogan or Emmanuel Sanders?
Hogan.
I reluctantly agree. I love my Manny Sanders. Chris Hogan or Devin Funchess?
Man. I'm going to go with Hogan.
I agree. Chris Hogan or Robert Woods?
Hogan. I like Woods.
I agree. Chris Hogan or Pierre Garçon?
That one's a little closer for me. I don't know. I'll still say Hogan.
I would go Garçon there. Chris Hogan or Will Fuller?
Yes. Hogan.
Yeah, me too. And
Fuller.
What, Fuller? You're taking Fuller over Hogan?
No, I'm not. I'm just laughing at the prospect at this point.
Okay. This is great because I'm going to do 2 more.
Why is Fuller going so early when he's like a 35-catch, bombardier type player?
I think it was those touchdowns that he got in limited action with Deshaun Watson last year.
Anyway.
If you're looking at his numbers.
Yeah, I saw.
But I mean, if you're just looking at that, you're not looking at was he scoring touchdowns?
Yeah, perspective.
I get that. Okay.
You make the same argument though as to why not draft Tyreek Hill to some extent with Watkins. It's a little bit of something I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about being down on Tyreek Hill, but I'm not sure yet.
Up on Sammy Watkins?
Yeah, but I'm
cow.
No, I'm saying relative to their draft position.
Okay.
I'm not saying over. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Yeah,
you have to take that into account.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be fun. I was going to only ask 1 more, but I'm going to ask 2 more because there's a guy that you absolutely hate and a guy you absolutely love.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp or Chris Hogan?
I'll take Kupp.
Really? You would take Kupp over Hogan?
Sure.
I don't think I could do that. I think I would take
right.
Hogan. And then Chris Hogan or Randall Cobb.
Yeah, right.
All right. Ronald Jones could post the biggest numbers of the team's defense-heavy draft class. Since according to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, he could get 15 to 20 touches a game. No Doug Martin left there. So they are looking for a lead back. Peyton Barber. By the way, did you see what happened to Clay Harbor on The Bachelor? Remember Clay Harbor?
Yes, I remember Clay Harbor, and no, I don't know what happened to him on The Bachelor.
He was a free agent, and he got an injury in like a touch football game or something on that. He was on there.
As a candidate or
no, not a candidate. He just showed up for one of their BS, group date things or whatever. And I guess he hurt his wrist and needed surgery. Yeah, this is when he's a free agent, man.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops indeed. So Peyton Barber is there as well. He just does not have the talent that Ronald Jones displayed when he was a Trojan at USC. Could be RBBC to start the year, Dave, but I've been on the belief that Ronald Jones is the man by the end of September there.
Yeah, Ronald Jones is by far the best talent, ahead of Charles Sims, Peyton Barber, Seamus, the whole rest of he's like Mike Evans is fantastic, great.
Right.
But he's a really talented, he's a playmaker. I think Ronald Jones will do great.
All right, this might throw a monkey wrench into this a little bit. Let me ask you this.
Seamus is suspended for 3 years?
He is for the first. I mean, we don't know. It could be 1 or 2 or 3. God knows at the NFL.
Anthony Myman said he was one of the bachelors, by the way.
Clay Harbor was?
Yeah.
See, I didn't think he was. I thought he was. He just showed up for a.
Because there's just like a bachelor.
I know. I'm sorry. I thought it was the Bachelorette with Becca Kufrin or whoever. I could be wrong. Okay, no more bachelor talk.
Talking about gay crap.
Okay,
no gay people.
Anyway.
But this is gay crap.
But anyway, let's move on.
Even the gays are like, oh, this is
gay. Right. For God's sake, I want to bring up this thing about Winston. So Jameis Winston is probably going to be suspended for the first 3 games. Listen to the Buccaneers schedule the first 3 games. They are at New Orleans, and then they host Philly, and then host the Steelers.
0-3.
Not only is it 0-3, but is Ronald Jones going to struggle to break out now? I mean, if you draft Ronald Jones, are you concerned with this Winston suspension as well? Because the offense will be completely held hostage with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Ryan Griffin the first 3 weeks of the season. And you're going to have to sink like a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick into Ronald Jones right now.
It's a legitimate question. I don't think, first of all, Fitzpatrick is a competent NFL quarterback. He's not fantastic.
Right.
He's not god-awful. New Orleans is a very solid playoff caliber team, but they're not a team that shuts teams out, probably. So even if they beat them like 35-17 or something like that in week 1, and then they're at home against Philly, and they're at home against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a better pass defense and rush defense. And, Philly's defense is, it's not it's good. It's not unbelievable, though. I mean, I think they're going to still put up some yards. He'll still get his, I think. Maybe not the touchdowns you'd be hoping for if you had, Jameis or Seamus back there, whatever.
Ronald Jones or Mark Ingram?
Just for redraft?
Yeah. Football guys, drafts, whatever. Main event.
Ingram's out 4 weeks, huh?
Yep.
God, that's actually kind of tough. If I'm playing main event, I'm going to gamble with Rojo just because I got him for the whole year.
What if you're playing football guys?
Well, same thing. I mean, I'm saying if it's a national contest, I don't mind doing that.
Okay, fine.
On the same token, if you can have a good enough team without having Ingram for those 4 weeks, he's going to come back and he'll be good.
I agree. Ronald Jones or Derrick Henry?
I'll take Jones over Henry. I kind of like Henry, though, by the way.
I do, too.
But, I mean, he has to do with Deion Lewis. He's not a third-down back.
No, you're right. Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones or Sony Michel?
I'll take Michel. I like the offense better.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Sony Michel. Yeah, Ronald Jones or Alex Collins?
Jones.
Yep, and Ronald Jones or Royce Freeman?
Jones. Freeman's not even guaranteed anything.
Totally agree. Ronald Jones or Rashad Penny?
Jones.
Really? I might go Penny on that one.
Do you have 5 on it?
No, come on.
Hey, come on here.
I said I with trepidation, I said I might go Penny.
52% still an advantage, Balky. This isn't, there's no bookie here. There's no juice, on their bets.
Let's get to fantasy feedback here before I do something stupid.
Wimp.
Whatever.
I'm just kidding.
Honestly, the next time you...
That sports betting man just took Penny.
Okay, there you go. And I'm just saying,
he might back you.
It's a coin flip. Yes, back me for $5. I'll tell you what, man. If I'm looking for backers for $5, I need to reevaluate my life. Kenny in Providence, Rhode Island, are you investing an 11th round pick in Dante Foreman right now?
Hell no.
Foreman.
11th
round?
Hell, super hell.
11th round, Dave.
To the 19th level of Hades, no, I'm not. And you know why? Because the news came out. What was the news? It's like the most obvious thing. It's like they're telling you not to take him.
Oh, he could start on the pup.
He's not quite sure if he's going to be ready for week 1. That means he's out until week 10.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean? Seriously. When have you ever heard, we're not sure if he's
You really think he's going to miss that much?
Who gives a crap? He's not going to be. This actually, I hate Lamar Miller, but this actually to me means hold your nose and draft Lamar Miller wherever he's being taken. I mean, I can't stand the guy. I think he's a terrible talent. But my question is, who's the next guy behind him? Is Alfred Blue still hanging out or somebody else?
Oh, come on. I have no desire of drafting Alfred Blue. Lamar Miller, 5'12".
Huh?
5'12" right now for Lamar Miller.
Still seems early, but I guess,
So you'd take him there.
I would take him at the 607 and later. Because I still have to be biased against him.
You know who's going at the 607 right now? Tariq Cohen.
I would take Lamar Miller over Cohen.
And Tevin Coleman.
I would take him over Cohen.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you have it.
Yeah, good guess.
Boy, I have to really reevaluate my Deontay Foreman. I did not think that he was going to miss that. How have the Texans been with reporting injuries?
What is his injury?
Yeah, he tore his Achilles.
Right. Name a running back that has ever come back from a torn Achilles.
I don't have the list in front of me.
The answer is zero.
Okay, hold on.
I'm pretty sure it is zero.
I might bet 5 on that, but there has been a running back that's come back.
All right. Wait, a running back that's come back. I don't even know the answer, by the way. A running back that's come back and been a top 24 player for one season.
I am not.
One season, dude. That's like nothing.
Okay. I am not putting the research in to figure this out. One of the listeners wants to do it.
All right, so no bet. We'll make a gentleman's bet for 0.
Fine. Gentleman's bet for 0.
I'm curious.
I got none on it. I got 0.
I got none on it too, but I really think that, that's the thing is, Achilles, you're done.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I
shouldn't laugh.
Deontay Foreman, it's not like he's an old guy. I mean, young guys can come back from stuff like this. He's like 21 or something like that. He was a super young How old is he right now? I'm going to look it up right now. Yes, he was a super young running back coming into the NFL.
So was that kid? So was that guy from the Lions? Who was that?
Javid Best?
No, not him.
Kerryon Johnson?
No. The one...
Okay, so he is older than I thought. Deontay Foreman. Well, he turned 22 in April. I mean, that's not old. I don't know, man. 11th round, dude. I'm probably going to reevaluate and not draft him there anymore because you're so sure of it, but come on.
I'm looking at, there's an old thread in football guy says, any running back in history ever come back from a torn Achilles from 2012.
Okay.
Oh, Mikel LeSure is the player they were talking about at the time, thank you.
Yeah, I remember him.
Granted, this was 6 years ago, so maybe someone's come back.
He was the S-bag that you got all ticked off when the Lions drafted him because of your Javid Best love.
Yeah.
I remember you left the room and you said, I swear to God, if the Lions effing take Mikel LeSure here, I'm going to be so pissed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then you came back and Berman's like, and the Lions have made their selection. Mikel LeSure. Mel, what do you got?
That's awesome.
So that was unfortunate. Okay, moving on. That's enough Deontay Foreman talk. Hello, Tony and Willie. Am I better off ignoring the Packers running backs this season, or is it smart to get at least one piece of it? Go Sharks. That is Mick in San Luis Obispo, California. Do you get this reference, by the way? Tony and Willie. Tony and Willie, and he says, "Go Sharks." Movie.
Huh?
He refers to us as Tony and Willie, and then he says, "Go Sharks."
West Side Story.
Any given Sunday.
Oh.
Tony D'Amato and Willie Beeman.
Can I pretend I'm cultured when you say "Go Sharks" and I say West Side Story?
Jets and Sharks. I get it.
Yeah. I feel pretty good. I feel good that I caught.
So you brought up Van Gogh.
I took West Side Story instead of Any Given Sunday.
We've gone from Van Gogh to Edward Hopper to
I barely know
Jets
the
and
story.
Sharks. West Side Story. Who is that? Who wrote that? Was that Tennessee Williams thing?
No, I don't know that.
Well, I'm about to. Look that up. Okay, so we talked about this briefly with Jay, Reid, and Scott Connor earlier. Jay likes Ty Montgomery. Scott likes Aaron Jones. I'm of the belief that I might take the cheapest one. As much as McCarthy wants to make this a running back by committee, I do believe that these guys will break down, and I believe there will be times this year when, one or two of these guys, it will be clear that they will be carrying the load heading into that game. Now, it might only be 2 weeks. You might only get 2 weeks of like bell cow use out of this guy.
When?
Just at some point in the season.
So that's why you don't. Then why would you draft him?
Because it's not like they'll be totally.
You're still spending a 9th round pick on him.
Yeah, unless you're taking Ty Montgomery in the 11th.
Okay, fine, but why are you taking one? Let's assume that the chances are 35, 30%. But even then, I mean, there's such a range. I mean, like, there's a chance in
You're saying ignore.
There's a chance that none of them could be productive enough to be an RB whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, as you go back and forth for each games, that's fine. Or one could totally emerge, and then you get kind of a value. But even so, even if you get that so-called value of a 9th round pick, what does that value emerge as? Does that mean he's like worth what a 5th round pick would have done? Is it like an RB24, RB28? I don't know, man. And then when he has the break, whichever player it is, if you draft the right player by chance, do you all of a sudden you have him starting in week 6 and he goes off for 28 points? So like,
yes.
Damn it! He was on my bench. Why did I have him on bench that week?
Listen.
And then the next week he all of a sudden goes for 6 because they started somebody else.
And then you bench him.
It's a big mess, man. It's like, why
we're talking about smart, high-stakes players here, Dave.
I mean, if you're talking,
they know when to start them. They know when to bench them. Don't worry about it. West Side Story is a musical with a book by Arthur Lawrence, music by Leonard Bernstein, and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim, inspired by William Shakespeare's play. Come on, Romeo and Juliet. There you go. Don't say we're not cultured on this show.
I mean, Ty Montgomery, because of the fact that he's proven as a receiver, right? He's proven that he can catch passes. To me, he's the safest play as far as a PPR bet. He's an 11th round pick. I would actually take Ty Montgomery. Plus, Alex.
That's what I just said at the start, and you were fricasseeing me over it.
I was watching the chat.
Bill in Altus, Oklahoma. He writes, what's Dizzle and Balky? I think you meant to say what's up. But, a Dizzle is Dave and a Balky is an Eric. I hear a lot of buzz around Kiki Kuti right now, but I am getting him pretty much wherever I want in every draft in the FFPC. What are your guys' thoughts on him, Bill in Altus, Oklahoma?
My thoughts are Jamie Mueller took him to 2 dynasty leagues. I have him.
But that's dynasty.
Which was annoying to me. So then
Because you wanted him?
Yeah, well, a little bit, and then he took him, so I'm like, all right, so that's going to a couple other leagues just because Mueller liked him.
The question really...
They're going to use him in the slot, right?
The question to me is, how do you rank the target priority players in Houston? Hopkins is 1, clearly. What happens after that?
Hopkins is 1 and 1A.
Okay.
What does he get, 180 targets, 160 targets?
Yeah, 170, 180 is probably pretty accurate. Okay, but what happens after that?
Well, that's where I actually like Kiki's because I don't have faith in Will Fuller.
You don't like Fuller?
I think he's nothing but a big, deep burner who'll, he's worth like 4 targets a game. Kind of like a poor man's or even a normal man's Deshaun Jackson.
You don't like either running back?
No, not as a pass catcher. Lamar Miller's like a 38 catches per year type of guy, which is like moderately annoying, but not the worst.
They don't have a C.J. Fedorowicz retired, I believe. They drafted. They drafted a rookie. Who's the guy down there? They drafted. Was the guy from Clemson? I can't remember. In any event, you and I are not excited about the tight ends.
Right.
Kuti could be the second receiver in this offense, especially if he is working from the slot.
And you have Watson, who's kind of still a limited skill set.
Right.
He goes for one half the field and does whatever.
So line him up on the same field as Hopkins, same side of the field as Hopkins.
Yeah, do stuff like that.
What round would you take Kuti in? And then I'll tell you where he's going.
12.
His ADP and FFPC best balls over the last 2 weeks.
Maybe that might be a little high, but I said 12, so I'll just stick with it.
It is a lot high because he is going at the 26-11 is his ADP. He is free.
To be truthful, that's really embarrassing.
You need to, well, you're not doing a ton of drafts right now. You know what I mean? Redrafts anyway.
Yeah, that's still pretty bad.
But Kuti, I mean, I'd be all over him in the 26. This guy is saying, who is this? Some guy in Oklahoma, Bill in Altus, Oklahoma. Yeah, draft him. I mean, soak a 26th round, 25th round, 24th round pick in your best balls on him right now. It makes a lot of sense. I would think that ADP is eventually going to come up, but I mean, now
it'll be 12th by the main event.
It's yeah. There you go.
All right, I can't even save myself on that.
Dizzle Damas.
I was only on 14 rounds there.
Yeah, sports betting man. Maybe by Vegas he will be. Tim in the Bronx, New York. How many quarterbacks should be selected before Jameis Winston given the upcoming suspension? Keep up the sometimes great work. Thanks for the email, Tim in the Bronx. All of them? That's a little out of control. So Jameis Winston right now, Dave. This is, I mean, obviously the suspension news just, basically.
Right.
It's fresh. 10-10 is where he's going right now. I'm just counting how many receivers. I'm counting how many quarterbacks are going in front of him. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 quarterbacks are going in front of him.
So he was already for QB 18?
Yeah.
Who cares then?
Pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, whatever. He's semi-comps.
Let me ask you this. Jameis Winston or Andrew Luck?
I'll take Luck.
What?
Yeah, I'll take
You
Luck.
are insane. The guy whose shoulder is
by the way,
hanging
Andrew
by
Luck.
a thread.
Andrew Luck, by the way, whose ADP I am well aware of, he's QB 11, right? So why would I not take the guy who's already being drafted as QB 11? And
QB 13, by the way, going
All
into
right.
10:03.
Fine, he's starting to move up though because he just stopped, he's throwing Nerf balls and the like, and maybe get up to 9-ounce balls. Versus the guy who's about to get suspended, who is already being drafted at QB 15, 16, 17, 18. Why am I going to do that? I'm not that dumb.
Okay, good point. I just wanted to bring it up because I wanted you to. I felt I had you in a pickle on that one.
Luck equals suck, but Jameis always equals Seamus.
Words to live by. Would you put 5 on a per game bet between Winston and Luck? Now think about this.
No,
Think about this. I want the per game rider in here in this wager because Winston is obviously.
I'm supposed to not take Luck?
Yes, but per game, Dave.
No.
He could have one Boffo game, his shoulder could fall off, and you could win.
That's actually.
That's why I want you to think about
Fine,
that.
you know what? I'll do that.
Okay, so I got 5 on Jameis Winston, a higher per game from weeks whatever the fantasy season is.
You have baited me into Andrew Luck. I will take Andrew Luck on a per game basis for a week.
And how much do you have on it? This will be one of our more fun ones to follow throughout the season because it'll change based on suspensions, injuries, performance. Oh my gosh!
So doubly torn labrums. Cow innards that are being put into the shoulder joint.
Yeah. Trips to Europe for stem cell injections, what have you. This will be great. Final email we have tonight. Are you guys buying or selling that Martavis Bryant actually gets suspended this season? That is Ron in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Thank you for the email, Ron. Martavis Bryant, there was whispers that the Steelers were expecting a suspension. And not the Steelers, the Raiders were expecting a suspension, and then all of a sudden there wasn't. And
I bet the Steelers were expecting a suspension.
Yeah, that could have been. Or they're just like, oh my God, they're going to give us a 3rd-round pick for this guy? Yes, please. And we're all over it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, indeed. So you have Martavis Bryant, like, he kind of slipped for a little bit there, and then people are like, okay, Michael Gelkin, I think, is the guy who originally reported it. And then Vic Tafur, I think is his name, said that, yeah, he heard that report a few months ago, but then there wasn't any concern after that. So now it sounds like he's not being suspended. So now the question is, if you're in a draft,
I don't know that it sounds that way.
You're looking. Okay, read between the lines for me then.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, Martavis Bryant, 14-11 right now. Would you be pulling the trigger on him at the end of the 14th round?
What was the suspension? Yeah, 14th round, that's not bad. I mean, even if he does get suspended,
if he gets suspended, he's done for the year.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking it was a lesser game suspension.
Yeah.
I still think there's a decent enough chance. So that in that case, no.
Percentage chance that Martavis Bryant does get suspended. Is it higher or lower than 50%?
I would go right around that.
Okay.
Right around 50.
So you'd say like 55 probably. It sounds like you're leaning more toward that he gets suspended than not.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to have to choose, why would I risk a 14th round pick on some guy?
If Dr. Strange were to look into the future and play out 14 million different scenarios.
To get clear, that's the Marvel character?
Yes. 14 million different scenarios. What are you doing? How many of those scenarios would Martavis Bryant get suspended for the full year?
7 million and 1.
There we go. I knew I'd get the answer out of you. And on that note, we are going to end the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Jay Reid, Scott Connor, the FFPC, Rob Rice, and, of course, all of you for listening tonight. Thanks so much. Now, next Friday, Dave, you are off again.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry about that. I love doing the show,
It's the summer of Dizzle. And it continues here, and it will be the show
of our prior obligation.
Of Balky, yeah. So you have a prior obligation. You will not be around next week. I will be.
My apologies. I love the show.
And let me tell you who else Now the real question is, would you draft as your two quarterbacks, Jameis Winston and Andrew Luck?
Oh my God!
Now hold on. You've taken three quarterbacks in leagues before. What about this? Winston and Luck, and then grab Trubisky in like the 18th.
No, but I would actually I would take Winston, Luck, and like Alex Smith, like a total veteran.
Yeah, you could do that.
Not gonna crap it up.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we didn't crap it up too much in the show tonight.
Well, that we did.
Thanks for listening, everybody.